The member for McMahon has the
Thanks,
call.
Mr Speaker. My question is to the Treasurer. Today, the Treasurer said, in reference to Labor's negative gearing reforms, and I quote, "Obviously, those who are more engaged in negative gearing have higher incomes than those who are on modest incomes." Is the Treasurer aware that's the point?
I'll allow the Treasurer to answer, but no, hang on. The Treasurer can just wait a second. Treasurer can just wait a second. I'll allow the Treasurer to address the question, but I again, for the last time, caution the member for McMahon. It didn't really. Anyway, I'll allow the Treasurer to address it. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I thank you for that, and I thank the member for his question and the opportunity to talk about those on high incomes and negative gearing, because those opposite have a policy which allow those who have large investment incomes through shared dividends and things like that, that under their policy, after the changes are put in place, that they will continue to be able to buy existing properties and to offset the net rental losses against their investment incomes. Now, what that means is if you're a CEO of a big company and you could be on several $1 million a year, you could be pulling down over $100,000 a year on dividend income that comes from your shares. And as a result, you can go down the road and you can buy an investment property, an existing investment property, and you can offset the net rental losses from that property against your investment income from the big share dividends you get as a result of the salary packaging that you have. But if you're a nurse, if you're a teacher, if you're a police officer, if you're any of these, if you're a paramedic, Mr Speaker, if you're a Defence Force personnel, if you're any of these, and you want to go down and do exactly the same thing as the CEO on $2 million and over $100,000 a year in share income, Mr Speaker, then you can't do that. You can't offset that net rental loss against your wage income, Mr Speaker. So those opposite think this is a fair measure. They think it's a fair measure, Mr Speaker. But what it shows is, once again, Mr Speaker, they don't think it through. They never think these things through. Mr Speaker, they have turned rushing to failure into an art form on that side of the House, Mr Speaker, because they just don't consider the consequences of the decisions that they are making. They don't consider the consequences of, under their policy, everyone who buys a new home, a first home buyer, an owner-occupier, as soon as they put the key in the door of that new property, it turns into an old property, and it's like driving the new car off the lot, Mr Speaker. And people out there, they know what that means. You drive a new car off the lot, after you've bought one, you know it depreciates in value. And under their policy, Mr Speaker, that's what it does. They never think these things through. And if you're trying to manage a transitioning economy, Mr Speaker, you can't afford that sort of recklessness. You can't afford it, Mr Speaker. And that's why those on this side of the House, whether it's on innovation policy or targeted infrastructure policy, Mr Speaker, or whether it's ensuring that small businesses are getting the right opportunity to work and to save and invest, Mr Speaker, on this side of the House, we know what it means to manage a transitioning economy, and we're seeing it happen under our administration.